Hey, welcome back to the Black and Gold Standard Podcast. And today on this wild card Saturday, I want to put some truth out there about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Um, and it's not so much of the Pittsburgh Steelers, but yeah, I guess you could say more about Mike Tomlin and some of my beliefs that I think would may be going on. And as fans, as Steeler fans, it really doesn't matter. I mean, it could be all the other 31 teams in the league. All fans are the same. And we're going to root for our team when they do good. And when they do bad, we're going to be against them. But sometimes you just got to hear the truth and be realistic about a lot of things. And like I say, it ain't just Steeler fans. It's all fans. I mean, like I'm here in Cleveland, so I have a lot of Browns um friends that are Brown fans, and I listen to the stuff they say, and I be thinking like, darn, that's the same stuff we say about our team, somewhat. I mean, we kind of got different situations going on, but for the most part, fans are fans. And to get into it, I want to talk about Mike Tomlin a little bit, and what I want to talk about today is Mike Tomlin the next to go? Um, I kind of said last week that the game between Tomlin and Harbaugh, it could actually end up being the last game between those two, and sure enough, it happened. And um, I just got a little eerie feeling out of it, just on the strength of um at the end of the game, just seeing how the players were so emotional, and I get it, it was an emotional game, and I mean, in one instance you're winning, the next instance you're losing, and let's just keep it 100. Anybody that had black and gold on pretty much thought that kid was going to hit that kick, and we were going to lose, and we were ready to that stadium was ready to erupt into fire Tomlin and anything else they could come up with. It was on the tip of their tongues. And by the stroke of God, the kid missed the kick and got a chance to move on. So we could really be talking about John Harbaugh being still in Baltimore and Mike Tomlin being gone. Um, I know that the narrative is the Steelers won't fire him, this and that, but and to a point, I kind of agree with that. But I think they would do it in a way of he would walk away. I think they would meet with him, and probably some of the demands that they would put on him. At this point, Mike Tomlin is at a point in his career that it would have been easy for him just to walk away and say, "Hey, it's just best that we split, go different ways." They listen. Teams pay people a lot of money to know how to swing things and say things and make things look however they want to look. So at the end of the day, yeah, it may look like Mike Tomlin walked out, but underlying he was fired. So you know how that stuff goes. So um one of the things that's coming out now is reportedly what Jim Harbaugh is demanding. And before we get into that, I just want to say it just seems like it's a lot of riding on this game on Monday night. And I mean, not just obviously we know what's riding for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I just think the NFL in general, and not the whole league, but teams that's really in that loop for to get a new coach, and teams that it may be some teams that is on the borderline with their guy. I mean, I don't really know what team would really be next up in that situation, but we already seen it. I think Mike McDaniels was going to be safe. I think Miami was going to really keep him until John Harbaugh got fired. And when he got fired, would they fire him on Wednesday or something like that? They said he had did all his exit interviews with the players. So it was already, and he had already met with the owner. So it was already pretty much given that he was going to survive one more year. He did his exit interviews with the players, and he was about to do his exit interview with the coaches, and then they decided to fire him after Jim Harbaugh got fired. So I just think it's it may be some more teams out there that's kind of on the teeter with their coaches. I really don't know who that would be, but I think if Mike Tomlin joined this, you would see a lot of more movement going on, I believe. So let's go to the John Harbaugh effect. And what I mean by that is what has, because of him being relieved of his duties, um, what has it kind of brought up? And I think one of the things is, so this is the reported demands that John Harbaugh wants. He wants a $20 million salary. I mean, I guess he could get that. I don't know, that seems kind of high, but he wants a $10 million assistant coaches pool, and that's a great thing there. I mean that would pretty much buy you any staff that you would want as far as coordinators. He want total authority over his roster. Hey, that's that Bill Parcells. Um, if I want to eat the groceries, you go, you let me go buy them. And then he want to select his own GM. Um, Again, who who wouldn't want a job that they say, okay, we're going to hire you, and on top of that, we're going to let you hire the person that you're going, basically we're going to let you hire your boss. So who wouldn't want that deal? Um, None of that stuff is really unrealistic. I mean, I guess you could say. I mean, now I'm quite sure people in Baltimore wouldn't agree. If he deserves that type of salary or that type of power, but you know, when you've been in your position that long and got the respect through the league, you can demand that type stuff. So to me, Mike Tomlin, if I'm Mike Tomlin and I see that, that's things that um that's things there that he's definitely not going to get in Pittsburgh. I mean, I want to say, and it's not really public knowledge, I want to say Mike Tomlin is making anywhere from 12 to 14 million, if that. I mean, I'm really not sure. I know he ain't making 20, but I know the Pittsburgh Steelers not going to give him $20 million. To be honest, I don't know if any team would give him $20 million, but if that's the case, hey, it never hurts to ask. Um, but the main thing, the more realistic thing, is the $10 million coach assistant coaches pool. I mean, that is huge, and that's a lot of things that a lot of fans don't look at, and that's just I mean, that's something from high school to college to the pros. Um, the money that they give you for your assistant coaches, because if you find a coach out there that think he's all that and he can do everything without good coaches around him, I will show you a coach that's going to fail because you're never. I mean, obviously, at the end of the day, it comes down to your players and obviously, your quarterback and all that. But it comes down to your players at the end of the day. But if you don't have a good staff around you, it'll tear you apart. And you can actually have the players, but if you don't have a good staff, um, you're not gonna go anywhere. And if you got any coach out there that's arrogant enough to believe that it's all about them, he's not gonna be successful. So that $10 million assistant coaches pool is huge. Um, Total authority over your roster. Only thing about that would be you got to deal with teams that really at this point don't have GMs or a team that's willing to basically get rid of their GM. And we're going to get into that because there's a few teams that I think that's in this picture would definitely maybe, go for that. And then, like I say, picking your own boss. I mean, who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want that situation? And again, we're gonna get into some of the teams that I think that's in the running for this that would maybe do that. And so, like I say, from a Mike Tomlin's standpoint, these are all demands that it ain't no way in hell this would be happening in Pittsburgh for him. And so this is something that he's gonna have to look at. If Monday night goes bad, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania is not gonna be a very friendly place for him. I know he always say, we don't hear the outside noise and all that stuff, but you do. You do. I mean, that's good talk, but you hear that noise. You hear that noise when you're just Mike Tomlin, the citizen, and you go to the grocery store or you go out, pump some gas in your car, or your wife goes out to the grocery store or whatever. You hear that. You hear that. You hear the heckling and all that stuff. So don't never let nobody fool you. Oh, well, we don't hear the outside noise or we don't care about the outside noise. Yeah, to a point, yeah, you don't let it run you, but you hear it though. So some of the teams that I think that's in the running for um giving up these type of demands. And these are the four teams that I believe. And like I say, if Tomlin was to join this, who knows? It could be some other teams out there that maybe decide to join this, but it's a shaky situation because you could fire your coach and fire your GM and don't get the guy. And now what? So these are just some teams that I believe that's really in that tight running. And I think it's four right now. I think the Cleveland Browns, and to be honest, I don't see Tomlin or Harbaugh ever going to the Cleveland Browns. But when it comes to money, I'm putting the Browns in anything that got to do with money because they will throw money around and mess around with the Browns. That $20 million to turn into $30 million. So I always put them when it comes to overpaying somebody. I'm always going to put the Cleveland Browns in that situation, even though I think is no chance that neither one of those guys would go to the Browns, but the Cleveland Browns would definitely up the ante in this whole thing. So with that said, I really think it's three. I think it's three, and I think it's one of the three is a kind of an outsider. So let's go with the outsider first. I think the Miami Dolphins are one of the outsiders. I think their coach was fired because Jim Harbaugh was fired. I think they were going to run it back with McDaniel at least one more year. So I think with that said, I think Miami will come hard with Harbaugh, or at this point Tomlin, if Tomlin decides to join this. The only problem with Miami, you got a quarterback issue. And I don't know at this point, is there any fixing to Tua, and on top of that, you really can't get rid of him. At this point, at least not next season, maybe the season after that. So you're stuck with him, and he's chewing up a lot of your cap. So that's going to be one of the issues with the Dolphins. So with that said, I just think the Dolphins are kind of outside, but they have some weapons. They got a good running game, a good offensive line, outstanding center on that offensive line, which he's probably going to end up being, if not the best center in the league. I mean, that kid is really improving and really got upside, but the defense is not really that bad. I think the corner situation needs to be fixed. They traded some guys away from their defense, but I would say the outside is the Dolphins. But the one thing that they do have is your money goes a little farther. It goes a little farther in Florida. No state tax, so that's huge. And also, I believe all my married guys out there, you guys know this much. If you go down to Miami and you see the potential neighborhoods that you can live in and all that, and if mama say, hey, this is where I want to be, that's a major a point for Miami. But at this point, I think the Dolphins are probably the outside team. Now, the two teams that I think that have a great opportunity to land John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin is the Atlanta Falcons and the New York Giants. And to me, I think Mike Tomlin doesn't fit the New York media because all the sayings and all the stuff that he kind of can say in Pittsburgh, I'm just gonna be honest, that shit ain't gonna fly in New York, especially if stuff is going bad. They ain't trying to hear that. They ain't trying to hear if your barn is what he would say, if you got blue paint, you paint your barn blue. Just some crazy mess that he be saying. That mess ain't flying in New York if it's going bad. So I can really see John Harbaugh in New York. I can see him in New York. I can see the Giants firing their GM because he's on thin ice, or as my mom would say, he got one foot on a banana peel and the other one on some thin ice. So I think if it came down to it, he probably the Giants probably would fire their GM and give him control of the roster. The money aspect of it, I don't know. He may could get that because hey, it costs a lot to stay in New York. So they're gonna have to negotiate that situation. But I could see him I could see him being with the New York Giants. And Mike Tomlin, I could see Mike Tomlin going to the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, let's just keep it 100. He would be embraced immediately down there. He would be embraced. Um, his daughter, she attends the University of Georgia. So, you know, dad is, I mean, again, my fellas, you know how we are with our daughters. We know, you know how we are with our baby girls. And to be closer to his daughter would be a good thing for him. And I'm quite sure his wife would like that. Um, Kind of run the similar defense that he runs here in Pittsburgh. I mean, Atlanta did some good things in their draft as far as fixing their defense because they can get after the quarterback now. So it fits Mike Tomlin's scheme, and he probably could, change some things up a little bit. Because to me, truly, I really think Mike Tomlin's more of a 4-3 guy than a 3-4 guy. But I just think he got some younger guys that he can mold and scheme things up. But I think the most important thing with the Atlanta Falcons that Mike Tomlin could get that I know that he can't get in Pittsburgh is he could get that salary. In which I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't believe Mike Tomlin's out here chasing money. I mean, he's I'm quite sure he's fine. He's doing fine from the financial standpoint. But hey, if a person gonna give it to you, you ain't gonna sit there and not say I'm not gonna take it. So I'm not sitting here saying Mike Tomlin's out here chasing money, but I think the Falcons will give him that salary. But most importantly, I think they will give him the money for the coaching staff, which Mike Tomlin is no doubt. I mean, none of us really know for sure what the Steelers are giving him for his coaching staff, but I know it ain't no $10 million. And I think the Atlanta Falcons would give that to him. He could bring in some good coaching, some good coordinators. I mean, because the position coaches, the coordinators are kind of work with that because they're going to want to work with guys they work with. But I think Atlanta will give him everything that he wants. I think he would get everything that he wants. He get a street named after him if he want that too. They'll find somewhere in the SWATs to give him a street. Um, so I'm gonna say if Mike Tomlin was to join this coaching um, carousel, I think he would end up with the Atlanta Falcons, and I think John Harbaugh is going to end up with the New York Giants. And it's going to be a new day. It's going to be a new day in the AFC Central. Um, Cincinnati had the longest tenured coach, believe it or not. But I just think if stuff goes sideways on Monday night, I don't believe Mike Tomlin is really out the woods. Um, Again, will it just be a situation where the Pittsburgh Steelers is just going to announce that we fired him? No, it's not going to be that. It's not going to be that. Like I say, I think it'll be a long conversation, and at the end of the day, it'll be one of those things where I think Tomlin will just say, "Hey, you know what? It's best for us just to part ways," because he ain't losing no money. He's gonna gain money because if I'm not correct, if I'm not mistaken, the Steelers, even though he signed that extension, the Steelers have to have until March to actually activate that. So it's not a money thing. Like I say, I don't think Mike Tomlin is in this at this point to be chasing money. I mean, he probably got all the money he ever gonna need. But if a team is willing, if I know I can ask for $25 million and the team's gonna give me 20, well, you ask for it. So And like I said, who doesn't want to pick their boss? I mean, that's unheard of. So I truly believe this is what could happen. But with that said, if it did happen, so let's say it happens. So Mike Tomlin is gone, and he's moved on, and where do the Steelers go from there? Where do the Steelers go from there? And me personally, I would hope that they will understand the landscape of the NFL right now. And the landscape of the NFL right now is offense. It's not defense. Yeah. Now, do you have to have? You can't have a trash defense, that we understand, but offense is the name of the game. Having a quarterback is the name of the game. Um, do I trust Mike Tomlin developing a young quarterback? Hell no, I don't. And I don't even believe that he wants to even deal with that because that's not his thing. Now, if you, I mean, to be honest, when you look at any draft pick, defense of offense, who has he really? I mean, I guess you could say T.J. Watt. I mean, I don't know, but he's not an offensive guy. So to ask him to develop a quarterback isn't it's not even fair. You know, I know some people say, well, you had Big Ben, but when Big Ben came up, even though he got him Big Ben in the second year, he had a solid offensive staff around him that basically ran that. I mean, it wasn't Mike Tomlin really doing that. So in his younger years, Mike Tomlin was more of a CEO type because he had LeBeau on the defensive side. His coordinator, I can't think about my man name, the one that went to the Cardinals. I forget his name. So he had veteran coaches, and those guys were running. You know, their offense and defense. And Mike Tomlin in which I think that what he's great at. He's a motivator. I think he's a great leader and man, but I think he's more of a CEO type coach. Um, and I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. And I don't think that's a disrespectful um thing. I just think that's what he is. So Mike Tomlin out the picture again, just one of the guys. And granted, and I said this last week, um, I have to put all the trust in the world with the Steelers as far as whatever their questioning is or whatever they way of determining, okay, this guy can be a coach because for the last three coaches they had, it worked. So obviously these guys got to get through the interview stage, but I like Kubiak, Clint. So if he can get through that stage of is he really a coach and whatever the Steelers do, if he passes that, he's the type guy that I want to see here in Pittsburgh. And I think you hire a guy like him, now you can get some real coordinators in here. It's gonna cost you a little money. It's gonna cost you a little money, but at the end of the day, it's gonna be much cheaper than what a Mike Tomlin or one of those type coaches is gonna cost you. Because I think like a guy McDaniel, um, again, he's one of those guys. I don't really think he's a head coach. I don't really think he's a head coach. He's kind of nerdy, and hopefully, and I won't get into it, but hopefully, some of his past haven't creeped back up on him. Um, So, I don't really think he's a leader of man's per se, but he's a hell of an offensive coordinator. And if you can bring a guy like him in, especially if you're bringing in a young quarterback, um, you got my man down here at the bottom. Um, oh boy, excuse me. So again, give us a real coordinator in here. Um, I think Kingsbury. I mean, I don't really see him going to be a head coach anywhere. He may kind of be like McDaniels, just a good coordinator, not really a head coach per se. On the defensive side, you got guys like Raheem Morris, you got Swartz. Even though I think, and that was another thing that I didn't say. So out of those out of those 4 teams I showed, one of those teams is going to get Kevin Stefanski. So I'm quite sure if Schwartz don't get the Browns job, which I don't think he will, he might go back with his old head coach. But it's going to be some good defensive coordinators out there. It's going to be some good guys that I think that that could really lead the Steelers in the right direction. Get them settled on the offensive side of the ball. Actually, may even be enough to convince Aaron Rodgers to come back, especially if you draft a young quarterback and you feel like he really needs to sit for a year. Um, you know, I think Aaron Rodgers would definitely be more excited about playing for one of those offensive coordinators than playing for Arthur Smith. And because I think at the end of the day, I think before Aaron Rodgers announced that he's done, he's gonna dibble and dabble out there and see what's out there for him. My prediction is he ends up in Minnesota. I think he wanted to go to Minnesota this season, but I think Minnesota wanted to really see what they had in their young quarterback. And I think they may have seen enough that he might not be what they're looking for. I think their coach may be kind of his seat may be kind of warm. And so you put Aaron Rodgers in that system with Addison and Jefferson. Aaron Rodgers is going to make some things happen there inside the dome. So I think Aaron Rodgers is going to he's going to dibble and dabble before he just flat out says he's done. Because I think right now he probably feel like he got another year or so in him, and you know, I think he wants his tanks to be empty before he definitely say he's done. So again, I mean, the Steelers have an opportunity to bring in some guys, especially on the offensive side, that maybe convince him to say, "Hey, I'll get this one more run." Because I don't think he's coming back if Walter Smith is still there. So with that said, I just wanted to get on here and talk about this a little bit, and I just believe Monday night is obviously is huge for the Pittsburgh Steelers and all the Steeler fans, but I think it's huge for a couple of NFL teams that's looking for coaches. I think it's huge for some teams that maybe is on the borderline of saying, you know, we want to go in a different direction. Because think about this. Even with Buffalo, if Buffalo taps out this weekend, Sean McDermott could be gone. He could be gone. Do Buffalo say, hey, I mean, I know him and Tomlin is big best buds, but do we bring Tomlin in here? Because now we getting a guy, a great motivator we got the quarterback, we got the offense. I mean, we need to get some receivers, get a little bit more weapons. Um, we bring a Tomlin in here. We're moving into a new stadium. So it's time for some new changes. So it's going to be, like I say, it's a lot of teams in the NFL that's really going to be paying attention to what happens on Monday. And if the Pittsburgh Steelers bow out, it's going to be some very, very interesting behind the scene things going on, I believe. So with that said, just make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. You guys take care. Enjoy your Saturday, and watch the NFL playoff games today. And you got some tomorrow. Then our Pittsburgh Steelers play on Monday. So until then, take care. And I need to get to my comments. So Yolanda think John Harbaugh will likely end up either in Miami or the Giants. I'm saying the Giants. I'm saying the Giants. Like I said, the Dolphins. They got some good things, that would lead you to Miami, but they just got a bad quarterback situation. Where um that's going to be a major thing that I don't know how many guys going to want to deal with that. But I could see Miami getting the Browns old coach, and he's going down there. But I think Harbaugh will be a little excited to have Dax and Dart, and bringing in a staff that can really coach him and get that offense going, because the Giants have some pieces. So I'm gonna say Yolanda. I think he's gonna be in New York. I think he's gonna be in New York. And yeah, yep. Yep, we'll see after the game. It's gonna be a good game, I think. I mean, now everything's pointing in the Steelers um their way. I mean, because they're great on Monday night. They have not lost a Monday night home game, in like 20 something years. It's been a long time. So it's looking good for them, but we'll see when they get on the field, because Houston defense is no joke. Their defense is no joke, but Houston also haven't really beat any good team they went up against. They haven't really beat any good teams, but then again, some people will say, is Pittsburgh a good team? So I don't know. I just think it's going to be a good game. I'm excited about it, and I'll be rooting for my black and gold. But like I say, I'm more realistic, and I wouldn't be shocked either way. I wouldn't be shocked either way of how this could go. So with that said, you guys take care and enjoy the weekend, and I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.